Very good. So Del Jolly, you're up next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for your time today. My name is Del Jolly. I am a Boulder County resident, and I wanted to speak today about the decriminalization of entheogens and the resolution that Decriminalization presented to some council members. I was part of the Decriminalize Denver team that passed the historic initiative in May 7th, 2019. I have a psychedelic research nonprofit that is working with Johns Hopkins. It's called Unlimited Sciences. And we are better trying to understand how the community is utilizing psilocybin. And so this initiative to decriminalize what we've seen in Denver and what we are hoping to see in Boulder is seemingly a net positive for the community members. I'm going to share just some very preliminary data so you guys can better understand what we're seeing on our end. And the way that our study works with Johns Hopkins is it's a series of surveys that people who intend to use psilocybin mushrooms can enter into our study. It's 5 surveys, one survey 2 weeks before their initial use, one the day of, one the day after, one 2 days after, and then 3 months later. So it's longitudinal, prospective, observational research. Just to kind of paint the picture of the types of folks who are entering into this and utilizing these medicines, the average age is 36.9 on this preliminary data, and it kind of shows a more responsible older demographic. 77% have a college education, 18 have master's degrees. Only 6% are reporting this as recreational use. And so, I mean, the opportunity to take our health in our own hands is being presented to you guys, and we're looking for a sponsor for this. So thank you for the time. Wish I had more.
Yeah, time's up, but thank you for that. And I understand that Kaylee Nicole Forster is here now under the name Nicole. So if we can get her presentation up, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for getting that fixed. I'm the director of Decriminalize Nature, Boulder County. I think I can just hit next on the slide. I'm not sure how to make it go. Okay, cool. We are a local nonprofit, and we're here today to urge you to sponsor our resolution to decriminalize natural medicines in Boulder, Colorado. Del just hit on kind of what is going on there and what that means. We are passionate about restoring the right to possess, use, and cultivate plant and fungi medicines without the risk of criminal penalty. This is, sorry, it's not clicking through the slides. This is just a quick list of nonprofit support that we have locally of people doing great research and education work. Next is a map of plant medicine policy reform all over the nation. 13 cities have passed similar policies in their city, and 10 of those have come through a council resolution process like we're proposing to you today. This next map shows all across Colorado where there's support and where there's people who are organizing. And so it is a movement all over the state. We are showing, now my slides are not clicking, I'm sorry. I got a lot of questions when I reached out to you all individually about what happens after local decrim. We see education and research opportunities, no significant threat to public health or safety, equitable policy change, county, state, and nationwide, and increased opportunities for citizens to drive these policy efforts at the grassroots level. So that's why we're advocating for this locally. Why prioritize it now? Increased opportunity for education and research to keep Boulder at the forefront of progressive drug policy reform. There are efforts to legalize these medicines in our state and coming from the FDA. And so we're urging that all people who are using for all reasons are protected from criminal penalty by a local decrim measure. These legalization models will only allow a select few people to use these medicines. So we are advocating for full decrim so that nobody goes to prison for their use of these medicines. And
Kaylee, I'm afraid your time is up.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Very good. Next, we have Ramsey Abuita, Nathan Bloodsworth, and Patrick Murphy.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Hello. My name is Ramsey Abueta. I live in Boulder. I was previously on the Decriminalize Nature team in Ann Arbor. So I have a lot of insight on how that unfolded when this initiative, this resolution was passed in Ann Arbor. I have a degree in neuroscience from the University of Michigan, and I work in the clinical research industry. And I'm here to speak in favor of the resolution to decriminalize nature in Boulder. So just to give a bit of background to this whole thing, as someone trained in neuroscience and plugged into the neuroscience academic community, we're experiencing a renaissance in the field of neuroscience regarding psychedelics. You know, when it comes to their mechanism of action on the brain and their neurogenic properties, and there's even a broader psychedelic renaissance in general beyond the field of neuroscience when it comes to things like health and wellness, public education, mainstream normalcy, destigmatization, and recognition of community-based healing and the protection of ceremony-based practice. For most of the thousands of years of history of humans on this land, the normal was that people had access to entheogenic plants and fungi, including psilocybin mushrooms, DMT-containing plants like ayahuasca, and mescaline-containing cacti like San Pedro. These medicines were revered for their abilities to bring profound healing and catalyze spiritual experiences, what Johns Hopkins University has called mystical type experiences, among other effects. Modern science is catching up to what indigenous societies have known and practiced for centuries, with Johns Hopkins University running numerous studies on psilocybin, and private clinical trials for psilocybin are already in phase 3 for the use of psilocybin to treat depression. These substances are not only non-addictive, they're anti-addictive, and they are the safest drugs known to humanity. Society is at its all-time distrust of the pharmaceutical industry and our medical system, and we believe it is a human right for people to have the right to have equitable access to these natural medicines on their own terms, and we get there by decriminalizing the use, possession, and cultivation of these entheogenic plants and fungi by passing
I'm
this
afraid your
resolution.
time is up, but thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Now Nathan Bloodsworth, Patrick Murphy, and Lynn Siegel.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Nathan Bloodsworth. I'm a long-standing Boulder resident since childhood, and I am also with the Boulder Decrim team with Nicole and Ramsey. And I'm also a board member for the NOAC Society, which is a statewide 501c3 nonprofit. I know the statements I say might be repeated based on what we've heard or not heard yet, but that is really only meant to amplify the importance of such measures that the Decrim Nature team is presenting. I can name my own experiences, but more powerful than that, I think, are the experiences I've gotten to see in my work with the NOAC Society. In that experience and work, I can attest to seeing miraculous advancements in PTSD and addiction healing, cancer treatment for pain. In that work, I've really seen no threats to public safety that I've seen that do not far outweigh the benefits to not only physical pain management, but mental health management for a variety of patients. These statements I make are proven in the 13 US cities that have already passed some similar policies and decriminalization, which have led to less arrest, which, from what you say, is a large part of keeping a just society in which racial bias is a general concern. The connection to the drug war, the prison system, and racial bias has been proven time and time again to be directly connected to racial bias in this country. These new decriminalized areas also show an increase in education on the healing factors of many of these natural substances and medicines. It is powerful to note that many resolutions have passed in other cities, and that in itself shows that this kind of resolution has been sponsored in other areas, so we're not reinventing the wheel. I know there isn't a lot of time here, and in fact, I'm going to kill it early and just say there's a lot to reflect on, and I would really respect anyone's sponsorship. And I'm here to answer any questions as well as anyone on the team. So thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Nathan. Ramsey?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, my name is Ramsey Abueta. I have a degree in neuroscience and I work in the clinical research industry and I live in Boulder. And I'm here to speak in support of the recent push to get entheogenic plants and fungi decriminalized in Boulder. I know that some of us have already touched base with some of you on City Council about our endeavor, and get ready to hear a lot more from us in the coming weeks and months. The reason I'm speaking today is to inform City Council and the rest of the public of a major rally for psychedelic decriminalization that is being held this Friday at 6 p.m. at the Riverside in downtown Boulder. You've probably seen the building dozens of times. It's right there on the corner of Broadway and Arapahoe. And this Friday is your chance to finally go in there and join the community and the public for a rally. And at this rally, there's going to be public speaking. People from the community are going to show up and speak about their experiences and why they believe in decriminalization. And then also there's going to be a group of indigenous peoples who are going to be there, and they're going to deliver a land acknowledgement and a land honoring. So it's going to be a really great opportunity to see the community come out and speak and hear indigenous people come out and speak. And yeah, so we would love to have City Council show up to this rally and come out to see community. There's going to be live music. There's going to be live painting. There's going to be public speaking. And basically, community is showing up. So it's your opportunity to come out and see community, to hear speeches from community, to hear the indigenous community speak up. And if anything, just show up for the public speaking segment, just to hear the voices of the community. And who knows, you might even want to stay for the live music for some of the most talented local musicians in Boulder, I think. When a similar group threw a similar event like this in Ann Arbor a few years ago, we actually had 3 members of City Council show up to the rally in Ann Arbor. Let's see if Boulder can do better than Ann Arbor. Let's hope to get more than 3 City Council members to show up at this rally. And I will send all of you invitations via email to get more information about this event. Thank you so much. Hope to see you there.
So here we are in downtown Boulder at the Riverside. We've got together the community. We're having the Decriminalize Nature Boulder Bash, where we have a night of music, art, and activism where the community is just coming together and showing our support. We're rallying for the cause. We're trying to get psychedelics, the entheogenic plants and fungi, these plant medicines decriminalized here in Boulder and then beyond. And you know, to see the community show up with so much passion, with so much fervor, with so much energy, it really just shows that this is a movement of the people, for the people. It's for our medicine, it's for our collective liberation, it's for our cognitive liberty, and here we are. It's going to be a great night, and Boulder is really showing up strong, and I'm ready.
Okay, hello. My name is Valerie Beltran, and I live in Boulder, and I'm here to speak in favor of the push to decriminalize entheogenic plants and fungi. I'm a licensed MFT who specializes in trauma. In 2019, I did a year-long training in psychedelic-assisted therapy at the California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. During the training, I volunteered as a guide at a clinic in Amsterdam, where participants ingested psilocybin over a weekend retreat. I'm also a supervisor at Sage Institute, a community mental health clinic that offers low-fee ketamine-assisted therapy. During my time in these settings, I have witnessed exceptional healing take place in participants who had tried countless forms of therapy or medication in the past, had symptoms of PTSD, depression, anxiety, and so on, and who experienced long-term healing after just 1 or a few sessions with psychedelics. I remember one client who experienced significant child abuse and an assault in their teenage years, who consistently felt unsafe in the world, worthless as a human being, and couldn't remember the last time he felt happy. With the effects of the psilocybin, he experienced the feeling of safety, trust, and happiness for what he recalled as the first time, and has maintained a sense of peace and acceptance since the experience. Another patient whose wife wanted to leave him because he was an absent father was able to reframe his entire view on life and family after his single experience with psilocybin, and he became a completely different father and husband. He is now still happily married and has a healthy relationship with his children. Because of all of this, I believe that these substances should be decriminalized because no one should be going to jail for the use or possession of these substances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Valerie.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hello, my name is Rumzi Abueda. I live in Boulder. I have a degree in neuroscience, and I work in the clinical research industry. I'm here to give some updates on our push to get entheogenic plants and fungi decriminalized in Boulder. We recently had a large community rally that was really successful and drew out the community. We sold out the venue and had to turn away dozens of people at the door. So this is an issue that community really cares about. Just wanted to say a huge thank you to the members of City Council that reached out an interest about this initiative There were a few of you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to make progress towards this goal. About 15 cities around the country have passed decriminalization resolutions, usually unanimously. 2 of them are Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Cambridge, Massachusetts, 2 other college towns. So we have plenty of precedent in how these things unfold in cities like Boulder, and all the data shows that bad things have not happened in those cities. Denver recently published a year summary of what happened in the city after they decriminalized psilocybin mushrooms and found no ill effects. The report is available online to read. The resolution we are suggesting for Boulder expands on Denver's resolution and includes more substances within the psychedelic class. I will expand in detail via email which substances were included in our language and why they're included. The resolution does not allow for large-scale commerce of these substances. It does not create mushroom dispensaries. All it does is tell law enforcement to deprioritize the investigation, arrest, and prosecution for the use, possession, and cultivation of these medicines. Nobody should be going to jail for using these medicines. We will be clearing the language with the city attorney to make sure it's within the purview of city council. And finally, I will be sending everyone on city council an email with the proposed language attached so you can read it and offer feedback or questions that I may answer. I look forward to continuing to work with city council to advance progressive drug policy reform. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ramsey.
Next, we have Ramsey Abuita, Robert Love, and Lynn Siegel.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Ramsey Abuita. I work in the clinical research industry and I live in Boulder. I'm here to speak in favor of Boulder decriminalizing psychedelics, also known as entheogenic plants and fungi. Our society is currently in the midst of a psychedelic renaissance that spans multiple domains of society and culture, including the neuroscience community, the medical and therapy community, the university research community, the arts and music community, the indigenous community, and so much more. The cultural tide is turning, and these substances are becoming more normalized and destigmatized and welcomed back into polite conversation. A few years ago, the New York Times bestselling author Michael Pollan published a book called How to Change Your Mind, which is an excellent example of conversations about these substances entering the mainstream and being regarded with the respect they deserve. Denver has already taken the lead by being the first city to decriminalize psilocybin mushrooms almost 3 years ago to this day, and they subsequently published a report outlining the impact decriminalization has had on the city, and they unanimously agreed that no detrimental effects occurred in the city. 15 other cities around the country, plus the state of Oregon, have decriminalized psychedelics, so we have plenty of precedent that shows that this is the progressive thing to do. Boulder is already a cultural and academic hub for the world of psychedelics, with a large community of visionary and psychedelic artists, such as the Phil Lewis Gallery on Pearl Street, and the Psychedelic Studies program at Naropa University. MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, also conducts clinical trials here in Boulder. Decriminalization will allow Boulder to fully step into its role as a leader for responsible and safe stewardship of these powerful tools for the exploration of consciousness and healing. These substances are impossible to get addicted to, have lots of evidence backing their healing potential, and there's already a thriving legacy community here in Boulder that has cultivated safe containers for the responsible use of these medicines. The time is ripe for decriminalization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramsey. Next, we have Robert Love, Lynn Siegel, and Evan Ravitz.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Robert Love, PhD. I'm a neuroscientist and I specialize in helping baby boomers improve their memory and reduce their risk of dementia. Today, I want to share with you some of the current science on psychedelics and why decriminalizing psychedelics here in the city of Boulder will improve the health of Boulder. The current science shows that there are many benefits to psychedelics, specifically for physical health and emotional health. And based upon that data, I believe it is important for the city of Boulder to decriminalize psychedelics so that therapists and patients can use them safely without fear of arrest or criminal prosecution. So this is what some of the top research institutions are saying in the United States. So this is a direct quote from Stanford University's School of Medicine's website that addresses psychedelics. Quote, preliminary data suggests that psychedelic-assisted treatments may be effective for some of our most prevalent, debilitating, and fatal conditions. If ongoing research continues to show efficacy, there may be a public health imperative to advance our understanding and application of these treatments. Johns Hopkins University did research on one of our most important public health challenges, smoking. They found that the use of psilocybin, which is the ingredient in psychedelic mushrooms, the active ingredient, the use of psilocybin had a cessation rate of 80%. In other words, those who used psychedelics with a therapist, psilocybin with a therapist, they were able to stop smoking 80% of the time. This is by far the most effective smoking cessation treatment available today. So please consider the science and data and take action to decriminalize psychedelic medicines so that these medicines are safe and accessible for therapists and the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
And our first three speakers, and apologies if I get your name wrong, are Ramsey Abuita, Donovan Smith, and Gabriel Edmondson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ramsey Abueta. I have a degree in neuroscience and I work in clinical research. And I'm here to speak in favor of City Council passing a resolution to decriminalize psychedelics in Boulder. Over the past few months, we've organized numerous members of our community to speak up on their personal stories on how psychedelic medicines have helped or affected them. And it's about time for City Council to recognize the power of these stories. We've had 2 neuroscientists, a few therapists, a healthcare worker, the founder of a scientific research nonprofit, and so many more upstanding members of our community planning on speaking up today and in the future. We have a video testimonial from a pediatrician that I will privately email to City Council. It's clear as day that these medicines are helping so many people and that their continued criminalization stands contrary to anything that is sensible and just. That is why I ask City Council to review draft language for a resolution that will decriminalize these substances by making them the lowest law enforcement priority, which is the same model as applied by Oakland and Santa Cruz, California, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and about a dozen other cities around the country. Denver led the way in 2019 by decriminalizing psilocybin, and 2 years later released a report indicating that no negative effects had occurred after decriminalization. You can read the report online, and you know what? I'll just email the report to all of you. It's about time that Boulder follows suit and progresses towards this positive change. Boulder is already a cultural and research hub for psychedelics with a flourishing legacy community that has shown itself to be a responsible steward for keeping safe containers for the responsible use of these medicines. Let's let Boulder live up to its legacy by having City Council vote on a resolution to decriminalize psychedelics. I will email all of you draft language that you can give feedback on. Let's get this resolution on the agenda and bring it to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramsey. Next, we have Donovan Smith, Gabriel Edmondson, and Schuler Sowa.
Hey folks, my name is Donovan Smith. I'll be sharing why psychedelics should be decriminalized here in Boulder. I'm going to be really vulnerable and get pretty personal with you about some heavy topics, but I promise it's relevant. To jump right in, I grew up in a house where my queerness and being gay wasn't celebrated, but shamed because of religion. I hid and I hated who I was. I was so confused. I internalized the shame, and by my young adulthood, my story was filled with depression, self-harm, suicide attempts, anxiety, substance abuse, and ultimately a methamphetamine addiction. When I came out and left the church at 21 years old, my entire worldview was shattered. Without religion, what does life mean? Why am I here? I was thrown into the wild to fend for myself. I turned to existential philosophy, cosmology, Eastern religions, and sociology for answers, but I only found more questions. I was lost. It was actually my first LSD experience almost 5 years ago that started me on the journey of learning to be okay with the existentialism and reframing it as a curiosity for life, the unknown, and connection. It changed my life. Since then, it has taken years of painful lessons, therapy, and the best support system a human could ask for in order to heal. But integral to that healing has been microdosing psilocybin mushrooms. They have helped me to recover from addiction and stay clean from something that wants to kill me. Create more space between negative thinking, what is actually true about who I am and my place in the universe, settle into my most authentic self, heal from trauma, and think freely without the crushing weight of depression. I can't help but smile when I think about all of this. My story has molded me into a mental health advocate. I work in community mental health here in Boulder, human rights activist, and a loud voice in the LGBTQ+ community. I am so grateful for how far I've come and who I am today. Psychedelics have played an invaluable and vital part in my story. I hope to one day live in a world and a city where folks can engage in these plant healing practices and feel empowered to do so without fearing the law. I am whole, and such medicines like psilocybin can help other people in Boulder learn to be whole too.
Thank you, Donovan. Next, we have Gabriel Atkinson, Shuler Soa, and Patrick Murphy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriel Atkinson. I'm a physical therapist in Colorado. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. My goal here, like those before me, is to speak in favor of decriminalizing psychedelics in Boulder by sharing my personal experience with psychedelics, which began as a recreational experience in college with fun in mind, but the incredible insight I unexpectedly gained through that experience solidified my decision to become a physical therapist. And so that's what I did. After several years in practice, however, I was concerned about that choice I had made. I contemplated leaving. All I was doing was following the orders of doctors who felt the job of a PT was to chase pain, which means to focus on the area of the body where pain was experienced and eliminate it. Never look for the source, and people returned again and again for the same issues as a result. So I decided to do a bit more work on looking at that source, and the treatments became much more meaningful, often created more sustainable changes. But something was still missing because I needed to deal with the patient's mental states, the fears about how the injuries would slow their lives down, how the scary reports from the MRI would lead to irreversible changes or future surgeries, how they would certainly get out of shape and be incapable of taking care of their kids or grandkids. So I immediately introduced the mindfulness-based stress reduction program and began referring to psychologists and other mental health professionals when people were open. Even better results emerged as a result of that. But it wasn't until a patient discreetly mentioned that she had used psilocybin and as a result transformed the way she saw herself and her injury that I realized this was a missing piece of the puzzle. I've admittedly explored these substances personally many times since then, always with the goal of helping me gain further insight into myself and to understand how they can be integrated into an efficient and effective treatment model if ever made available. And undoubtedly, the conclusion is that they can. So with the research quite compelling, the safety apparent, and the need more urgent than ever, I would urge the city to consider being on the forefront of this change and work to enable.
Your time is up, but thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next, we have Shuler Soa, Patrick Murphy, and Harleen Singh.
Hello, my name is Skylar Soa, and I'm the founder of Connection Through Compassion. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak in favor of Boulder decriminalizing psychedelics. I was raised by emotionally unavailable parents and felt disconnected from life to the point that I did not desire to exist on this planet. 5 years ago marked the explosive ending of a codependent and unhealthy relationship I was in with a woman I relied upon to give my life value and purpose. The following 5 days after that were the most disconnected I felt, and I entertained thoughts of ending my life. Instead of ending my life, I decided to eat 5 grams of mushrooms containing psilocybin by myself in my apartment. Over the course of the next 8 hours, I processed and released trauma and discovered my connection to life. I visited my childhood experiences and remembered how wonderful I felt when I caused a person to smile. My experience with mushrooms that night resulted in my invention of kindness cards and the formation of the nonprofit Connection Through Compassion 1 year later. To date, we've given away over 50,000 handwritten kindness cards. And I actually wrote a kindness card tonight to show all of you, but realized that we're not permitted to have video. So it just says, thank you for being here. And I really mean that. I'm very glad that we're all here on this planet. Psychedelics have really supported me in knowing how valuable I am and how I desire to live my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Skylar. Sorry for getting your name wrong. Oh, and I'll just mention, Skylar, if you're listening, you can certainly email us the thing that you mentioned if you'd like to share that with us. Thanks. Next, we have Harleen Singh, Taylor Weekly, and Celeste Landry.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Am I heard?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hi, my name is Harleen Singh, and I worked at a private medical office for a few years, and I'll be graduating with my bachelor's in Ayurvedic medicine in a week. And I'm speaking in favor for decriminalization of psychedelics in Boulder. I recently had a experience with my mom and sister, actually. We did some psychedelics with a third-party therapist, and we uncovered a lifetime of subconscious patterning that we have towards each other within one night because of like how malleable your experience is when you're on psychedelics. And like I'd seen my own sister like treat me like she hasn't treated me since she was like a little kid, you know, just like googly-eyed and happy, and there's no wall between us. And I was a little worried it would be gone the next day, but it was the same the next day. It's been the same. It's been 2 weeks now, and it's the same now. It was almost like a switch flipped for her. So I've never felt closer to her or myself or my mother. And you know, you hear about these therapies, but it was really cool to really experience it firsthand, and really powerful, and something that I just completely did not expect to happen. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Arlene. Next, we have Taylor Weekly, Celeste Landry, and Evan Rabbits.
Hi, my name is Taylor Weekly. I live in Nederland and work as an esthetician, which means I am also a therapist for many Boulder inhabitants. It has come to my attention that people sometimes need help addressing the more difficult parts of life, or fall into depression when they can't find the specific help or tools they need. That being said, I am speaking today in favor of decriminalizing psychedelics in Boulder. This is not just about recreational use and having fun. This is about giving people with mental illness the chance at a happy and fulfilling life without the use of mostly harmful medications and their side effects. Psychedelics actually promote neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. In the case of someone that has suffered depression for years, the overwhelming stress and sadness they experience literally atrophies the neurons in their brain, prematurely aging them and their brain, making it harder and harder to pull themselves out of their depression or even find joy in little things. One psychedelic experience has the power to rewire their brain chemistry. Parts of the brain that usually have no contact actually talk to each other, forming new neurological pathways. This gives the opportunity to be open to trying new things, meeting a new friend, making time for a therapeutic hobby like yoga or meditation, anything new and exciting to give them reassurance and get them out of the same depressive loop. We're at a very pivotal point in the evolution of our collective consciousness, and I believe that decriminalizing natural substances is exactly what is needed to cultivate a more unified, loving, and healthy community. Thank you for your time and consideration. It really means a lot.